On November 1st, 1894, a 26-year-old man became the most powerful ruler on earth. He had never attended a cabinet meeting, never read a state paper without his father's guidance, never made a decision that mattered. His name was Nicholas Alexandrovich Romanov, and his first words as Tsar were a confession. "I am not ready to be Tsar," he told his cousin. "I know nothing of the business of ruling." He was right, and for the next 22 years, 125 million Russians would pay for his honesty. Alexander III was supposed to live forever, or at least that's what everyone assumed. He was 49, built like a bear, strong enough to bend horseshoes with his bare hands. He had crushed revolutionaries, survived assassination attempts, ruled Russia through sheer force of will. Then his kidneys failed. It took 6 weeks for the giant to die. Nicholas watched it happen, watched his father shrink, yellow, lose the ability to stand. On the last day, Alexander called his son to his bedside and said one thing: maintain autocracy. Nicholas nodded. He had no idea what that actually meant. The death certificate was signed at 2:15 p.m. By 2:16 p.m., Nicholas II was Tsar of all the Russias. Here's what Nicholas cared about: his diary, his wife, long walks, tennis, shooting crows. He recorded everything: the weather, what he ate, how many birds he killed. Walked for 2 hours, shot 3 crows, sunny. This is what he wrote on days when ministers were begging him to make decisions, when the empire was cracking, when people were starving. He was a good husband, a devoted father, a man who genuinely loved his children, and he was catastrophically, terminally unsuited to rule 125 million people through the most turbulent decades in human history. He married Alexandra of Hesse less than a month after his father's funeral. The wedding was held in the Winter Palace. The bride wore black for mourning. Guests said it felt more like a burial than a beginning. They were right. The coronation came 18 months later, May 26, 1896, Moscow. Nicholas was crowned in the Kremlin with all the ancient ceremony of the Romanov dynasty. 4 days later, on May 30th, gifts would be distributed to the common people at Kodinka Field, a military training ground on the outskirts of the city. 500,000 people showed up. They came for the free beer, the commemorative cups, the sausages. They camped overnight in a field pockmarked with trenches and ditches from army exercises. At dawn, a rumor spread: there weren't enough gifts. The crowd surged. The trenches became traps. People fell. Others trampled over them. The screaming lasted less than 15 minutes. When it stopped, 1,389 people were dead. Thousands more were injured. Nicholas was told at noon. He was horrified. He wanted to cancel everything: the banquet, the ball at the French ambassador's residence that evening. He wanted to visit the wounded. His uncles said no. The French would be offended. Tradition must continue. The Tsar must appear strong. So that evening, the same day as the Kodinka disaster, while bodies were still being pulled from the ditches, Nicholas II danced. He waltzed with the French ambassador's wife. He stayed until 2 a.m. The newspapers reported every detail. Russia never forgot. They had a new nickname for their Tsar, Nicholas the Bloody. He had been emperor for 18 months. He had 22 years left. And this was just the first warning. The pattern was set. Something terrible would happen. Nicholas would hesitate. Others would advise. Nicholas would choose wrong, or choose nothing, which was worse. He wrote in his diary that night: went to the ball, very tired. No mention of the dead. No reflection on what it meant that his reign with Russians crushed under other Russians' feet. No sense that maybe, just maybe, he should rule differently. 22 years of warnings. He ignored every one. His wife was about to give him an heir, a son, a boy with a secret so dangerous it would tear the empire apart. But that's the next story: extraction.